Yo, good afternoon, good evening, freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, and freedom fighters. It's your boy Snapzilla Gorilla. Definition, Tyrant's Bane, hollering at y'all with this quick live stream to let you guys know what the terrorist group known as the ATF has been up to lately. Yes, what I'm referring to is a government-sanctioned terrorist group known as the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, right? They just don't put the E on there. Yeah, what they have been up to as of late, the shenanigans that they have been party of and the initiator of, occurred in November 21st of last year. Now, I just found out about this. And apparently, there is a social media influencer that goes by Choppa. His name is Mark Choppa Manley. Okay, he is a firearms enthusiast and all that good shit. He just recently posted a picture of him and his family for Christmas. And yeah, apparently he was a victim of the terrorist group ATF. Now, here's the thing. These terrorist groups, these government-sanctioned terrorist groups, they think that they have dominion over everyone. Okay, they think they have dominion over everyone, that they can do what they want, that they can commit their atrocious acts and get away with it, right? And for the most part, they do get away with it. I believe it was recently a pilot, not a pilot, but a airport owner got raided by the ATF and unfortunately was murdered, right? Was murdered by the ATF in a botched raid, okay? And so this is what happened with Mark Choppa, except fortunately, neither he or his family died, but his family was there. So in the early morning hours of November 21 of last year, the terrorist group ATF performed a no-knock warrant on his house based on a so-called tip from somebody. All right, somebody that supposedly knows the Manley family. You know what I'm saying? So there you have that. Now this was a tip, and you know the people, they speculate that the person that gave the tip was essentially an informant who knew Mark and said, well, this guy has a lot of guns, right? Now, he lives in Maryland, all right? The Manley family is in Maryland. And so, essentially, they have done these types of things in Maryland before, except it wasn't the ATF. There was also a man when the red flag laws started getting popped off thanks to Donald Trump. Maryland adopted the red flag law and basically used it to kill somebody, right? Used it to kill an old man who was having beef with his granddaughter or some shit. His granddaughter was beefing with his granddaughter. Granddaughter called the police, said, yeah, I think he's a danger to himself or others. So they went out there and basically killed him because he did not want to give up his firearms. Anyway, so that's where the Manley family, they reside in Maryland. And in Maryland, they have very strict gun control laws, okay? But when they performed the raid, they discovered that there was nothing to seize. They were not able to seize any weapon. He had over 70 firearms, but they were all legal. They were obtained legally. They did not have illegal modifications, and therefore it was a bust. They destroyed parts of this man's house. terrorize him. They terrorized this man based on an unsubstantiated tip. Okay? It was a no-knock warrant. So you mean to tell me that the government-sanctioned terrorist groups can initiate a no-knock warrant, right? They can bust into your house without identifying themselves and without knocking, based on an unsubstantiated tip. And the reason I say the tip was unsubstantiated is because, well, there turned out to be nothing for the ATF to call illegal. So therefore, all right, I don't know why they fucking with my line, but yeah, I've never had issues driving through here and losing service. Anyway, so basically they committed a terrorist act on Mark Choppa Manley, and his family just to do it. And of course, they don't want to answer questions. They don't want to be accountable because they're a government-sanctioned terrorist group. That's just the bottom line to it. It's the bottom line to it. They are the terrorists. Government-sanctioned bureaucracies, right, that are tasked with, enforcing these laws and breaking into people's houses, going through people's shit, violating their Fourth Amendment rights, violating their Second Amendment rights. They're terrorists. They're terrorists. Point blank and period. No longer will I sugarcoat this shit. These motherfuckers are the most dangerous group in the world. Okay? And I'm referring to government-sanctioned, government-controlled bureaucracies, law enforcement agencies, right? We got to call them for what they are. We got to call them for what they are. Just because a bunch of people have consented to be governed by these clowns does not mean they get to do whatever they want. Dead Mike, I don't know why you would say some shit like that. Talking about I got some tip for you. You ain't got no tip for me. Get that zesty shit out of here, man. I will not entertain any zest. I will not entertain it. Anyway, so these government-sanctioned terrorist agencies have to be called out for what they are. And it has to be understood that these are things that they're doing. They're not, but it's not being highlighted. How come nobody is talking about this? How come I haven't heard anything about it from these these other so-called Pro 2A channels? Why have they not talked about this? You know what I'm saying? And just FYI, Mark Choppa Manley is a black man. Mark Choppa Manley is a black man. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but again, this young man and his family were terrorized and traumatized by the ATF, the terrorist organization sanctioned by the United States government that you guys give your consent to be governed by. Right? Yeah. That's how it goes. And make no mistake, Anarchy Television was good. Make no mistake, the way I'm talking right now might be considered dangerous, you know what I mean? Because I have decided to call it for what it is. Call it for what it is. They are terrorists. And that's just the bottom line to it. When you start talking like this, they don't like it. They start doing things like buffering your video, snatching you're snatching the people from the chat, all that silly shit. Yeah. And I would not be surprised if I were on some list somewhere. But you know what? It is what it is. I'd rather do this than keep my mouth shut and just go along to get along and, you know, not bring awareness to the bullshit. Not bring awareness to the fact that the government is a terrorist organization. Yeah. They always do things maliciously. They always do things harmfully to people, right? They harm, they maim, they kill for a political purpose. For a political purpose, for a social purpose, right? And we really have no idea what this purpose is because there are so many agendas at play. So many agendas going on at the same time. And there are so many different people involved to varying degrees. Everything is compartmentalized. So whatever the ultimate agenda or the ultimate goal is, will never be hampered by the smaller agendas. They will go in on those secondary agendas. They will, cast them aside. They will, if it goes against the ultimate goal, they will put the kibosh on any secondary goal, any secondary agenda, right? The ultimate agenda, in my opinion, is to weaken the resolve of those they call the American people. Yeah. They want to weaken our resolve. They want to create victims out of us. They want us constantly in fear of everything. They want us in fear of a bird flu. They want us in fear of the ATF. They want us in fear of all these government-sanctioned terrorist groups. They want us in fear of everything. They want us here in constant fear. Because if we're in constant fear, and we're operating out of fear, most importantly, if we're letting fear dictate our movements and dictate how we live our lives, well, guess what? We are much easier to control. We are much easier to subdue, right? They want a subdued mass. They want subdued masses. That's what they want because it's easier for them to do what they want to do. And ultimately, what they want is access to your children. Yep. That's not the only thing they want. But they want to be able to have access to your children without you pissing. Sister Cameron's in the building. Jimmy Nguyen is in here. How y'all doing? Dead Mike out of pocket, as always. Anarchy Television is in here. Why? They are willing to go scorched earth. Yes, Anarchy Television. They are willing to go scorched earth to obtain their goals because they think, this is what they believe. Let me tell you what they believe. The elite class, right? The elite class believe if they do go scorched earth, they will be protected. They will see no harm from it. They'll go scorched earth because of their bunkers, because of their ivory towers. They think they are insulated and protected from everything. They think they're invincible. The elite class believe they're invincible. This is why they are willing to go scorched earth. They think in a shit hit the fan situation, of their own making that they can just hide out underground until they're ready to pop their greedy ass heads up. That's what they believe. They believe that. Let me tell y'all, that is their weakness, y'all. Their weakness is that they believe they're invincible. No one is invincible. No one. They think they fly their private jets. They go to G20 summits. You know, they're part of the World Economic Forum. You know, they want you to own nothing and be happy. They want you to eat the bugs. They want you to be vegans. They want you to eat cellulose. They want you to eat bamboo, sawdust, burgers. Yeah. That shit that's in the Impossible Burgers and the Beyond Burgers. Oh, yeah. That shit consists of bamboo, sawdust, cellulose. When you see cellulose are basically the cell walls of a plant that your body cannot process. Your body cannot process cellulose. Yeah. And these bugs they want you to eat, teeming with parasites. Teeming with parasites that can harm human beings. But they'll convince you, oh, well, we'll just bake the shit out of them, ground it up, turn it into a powder, and we'll make shit out of it. And don't worry about the parasites. All this is designed to make us weak, y'all. Industrial seed oils, right? That they allow to, they continue to allow, right? They continue to allow these food makers, right? The big food companies to use industrial seed oils. They continue to allow those companies to use all these chemicals to create all these processed foods for us to consume that leach our bones, right? That can cross the blood-brain barrier and cause neurological issues, that can oversaturate a man with estrogen, right? To feminize us. Soy, exactly, J-Man. J-Man's in the building. What's good, brother? Yeah. Yeah. This is what they do. This is what they do. So they create these agencies, right? I was watching Tim Pool. I watch Tim Pool sometimes because sometimes he try to act like he has some sense. But really, at the end of the day, he's just a status. I was watching Tim Pool one day. He had a guest on, some super liberal Gen Z motherfucker. And they were arguing about regulation, okay? They were debating regulation. It was Tim Pool, this liberal dude, I forgot his name, and then this other guy that's regularly on the Tim Pool podcast. He goes by, what's his name? He has a weird, like, Eastern European name or some Dutch name. I forgot. Damn it. Some Lubakowski, some shit. Well, of course, the super liberal motherfucker was pro-regulation, right? Pro-regulation in terms of, you know, oil fracking, oil drill, not oil fracking, fracking, oil drilling, you know, the whole nine, right? Coal mines, all that. And, you know, he was arguing for regulation, like, oh, they put these regulations in place because they want to keep people safe and blah, blah, blah. But Tim Pool's argument was, no, they don't do that to keep them safe. They do that to some shit to enrich somebody. However he was arguing it, right? And what did he say? He said it was actually a really good argument. It was a really good retort. It has something to do with something to help one company, right? So a company would have these certain regulations in place, or have the government put certain regulations in place in order to enrich one company over the other, and they get kickbacks. And he was basically saying that these government agencies, the regulatory agencies, were not put in place to help people be safer. It was to enrich certain people, certain industries, and that they still do the things that are regulated against them, but they just turn a blind eye to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, these companies, they'll still dump toxic waste and all this other shit, even with the regulations. And these are things that are known to happen by the EPA, by these regulatory companies, regulatory agencies. And, you know, but Tim was saying, oh, well, we do need some regulation. Oh, we do need some government regulation. And it's like, this is crazy. You're telling us how the government does not regulate, you know, with altruistically, right? Altruistically, meaning they're doing it just out of the kindness of their hearts. You argue that government regulates for a malicious purpose, or as a means to control, or a means to help, whatever. However you're arguing, you're arguing against government regulation. You're telling us why government regulation is ass, but then you say we need government regulation. That is known as cognitive dissonance. And Lou Burkowski, right? The dude, I forgot his first name, but he is an anarchist, right? Like myself. He's an anarchist. So he's basically anti-government period, right? Not small government like the libertarians. Not this, not that. No government, right? Because basically anarchy means no rulers. And that's what people like myself believe in. And so he was basically saying what I said. He said, do y'all listen? You listen to yourself, right? You want this government agency that you know is not for the good of man to regulate certain industries, knowing that they're regulating certain industries not for the greater good of the human being, but to line somebody's pocket somewhere, or to allow one company to get away with it and coming down on another company because they didn't kiss up the daddy government. You get what I'm saying? J-Man says, just got back from the store, smoothie game intact. That's what's up, man. Big Mike TV was good. Big Mike TV, man, was cracking. I'm pretty sure I know you from somewhere. But listen. Here's the thing with regulation, right? The people can regulate for themselves. I'm going to say it again. The people can regulate for themselves. The people have enough sense to regulate what they utilize, right? What consumer product they utilize, what company they choose to patronize, right? So let's say you have a restaurant. You got a restaurant in the city. It has to be, it has to pass this inspection, pass that inspection. You got to get licenses and all that other shit. You got to get government permission slips, basically. Well, the government does this not because they don't want you to get sick, but because they know that they can charge you for their services, right? So the government goes and inspects. The government gives you these licenses. It all costs money. And they get that money, right? So you think, okay, the government, they inspected this restaurant so that we don't have to do it, right? But people don't even think like that. People don't even think that they can just regulate the restaurant themselves. So let's say I open a restaurant in a town where people live free of government, right? It's a voluntaristic society where, people, participate in that society at their free will. So everything that the society or that community needs to get done, those who want, they go to the people and say, look, we want to do this, right? We want to do that. If we want to do this, we're going to have to all pitch in to get it done. And if you don't want to pitch in and get it done, you don't have to. You don't get to use it, right? There are certain ways they handle that. So let's say I go there and I want to open a restaurant. And I just open the restaurant and start serving food and start doing this and that without government permission slips, without inspections and all this other shit. Well, guess what? If I want to make money in this town where these people want to use my restaurant, if somebody gets sick, they can come and say, look, man, somebody got sick. We're not going to eat here until you let us come through and see what you got going on in there. You know what I'm saying? Or I saw a roach in one of your hamburgers. That ain't a good look. So you might want to clean up in there. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to continue to make money off of us, then you're going to let somebody come in here and make sure it's clean enough, right? And so guess what? That person has a choice. They can keep the restaurant open. But guess what? Once word gets around that this guy would not, let us come look at what he got going on, they just decided not to go to your restaurant. Bada boom, bada bing, you lose money. You close up shop. Or you say, you know what? Yeah, y'all come on through. Come check it out. Come tell me how I can serve you better. You see what happens? You get better service, right? Because some of these restaurants can bribe city inspectors to pass them. You understand what I'm saying? That can't happen without government. Can't happen without government. You know what I'm saying? If the people see that you're doing some fucked up shit, your service is horrible. It doesn't have to be about cleanliness. Let's say you have horrible service in your restaurant. Let's say, you selling yayo out that motherfucker, right? Well, here's the thing. You can sell yayo. Go ahead. But our kids eat at your restaurant. And I don't appreciate you selling anybody because I don't want my kids using yayo. Somebody's kid down the street, he was able to get some yayo off you. I don't think that's a good look. So we're not going to eat here if you're going to continue to sell yayo out your restaurant and you're not making sure that you're not selling the kids. Sell whoever else you want. But my kids are not going to be participating in the use of yayo. You understand what I'm talking about? So there are ways to go about it. So if that motherfucker wants to keep his restaurant open, he has two choices. He can keep the restaurant open and sell his yayo on the side. Oh, what's good? Sugar-free Mars was good. Salute to you. So the restaurant owner can say, hey, all right, man. All right, I got you. I'll stop slinging yayo out the restaurant and I'll make sure I'm not selling the kids from now on. I'll sell the yayo somewhere else where only adults can partake, right? Because at the end of the day, the only ultimate authority one person has over another is a parent over their child. That's it. Why? Because your child is still growing. They're still learning. They're still impressionable, right? And the parents, right? You are their first socializer. You're their first teacher. You are their first guide. So yes, you do need to have a certain level of authority over your children to ensure they ain't just going out getting themselves killed, getting themselves harmed. So yes, you have, that is the only legitimate authority from one person over another in this world is a parent over their child. That's it. No other man has any legitimate authority over another man. Point blank and period. None at all whatsoever. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care what they tell you. No one. And because of government, the government has created, and not just the United States government, the world governments has created a world where there is a lot more chaos, right? There's a lot more chaos in the world because of government. Not the inverse, right? Not the reverse. There would be less chaos with zero government. I guarantee you that. Because the government can't stop spreading its tendrils everywhere to be in everybody's business, to control resources, to control the food supply, to control the people, right? They want to control every goddamn thing. Well, if the world still existed in smaller tribes of people, in their own little enclaves of the world, in their own little tribes, in their own little pieces of land, minding their own goddamn business, right? Living off their own goddamn land, living how they see fit according to their own customs and culture, we would not have the problems we got. No, it's because the conquerors and the colonialists and the motherfucking pilgrims and whatever glowy name you want to give them, they decided that they have to go all over the place and start spreading their bullshit all over the place, start raping and pillaging and doing this and doing that. That's how the government was birthed, right? Government was birthed from the raping and pillaging and conquering of people who are minding their own fucking business. Why? How did that happen? Well, because we're doing these things, we need an apparatus in place to maintain control and to maintain ownership over the shit we conquered. Does that make sense? J-Man, real talk. We should be rolling, 100%. And that's just the way it is. Government exists to maintain. Government means control, right? Govern means to control. Mint, right? Mint is a separate word from govern. The etymology is essentially to control, a means of control. Government, that's the etymology, a means of control, if you break it down. So when you have things like what happened to Mark Choppa, right, who was minding his own business in his own realm that you would call his house. That is his domain. That is his realm on his own land. That is his. That is his. So what happened was the ATF, the terrorist group, the ATF, the government-sanctioned terrorist group, decided based on a hater, right? Based on a hater that said, yo, Mark Choppa got a bunch of guns. Don't lock me up. Go get that motherfucker. Because that's what they're saying happened. They're saying that people, can y'all hear me good? Because anyway, they're saying that the guy that gave the tip might have been pinched by the police and decided to give up Mark. Well, it's not okay to take the word of a man and go break into somebody's house, right? No, don't you want to investigate? Don't you want to do a little bit more research and maybe you want to ask Mark questions? I don't know, but just to break up in his house, like they did with that dude in Colorado, the airport owner, they killed him in a botched raid. That was just nonsense, because this is what they do. They're a terrorist organization. Imagine, you see, the terrorist organization known as the ATF has buildings all over the country, right? And so they get to go out and terrorize and commit terrorism all over the country and still just stay in a building. Imagine if ISIS had buildings all over America, right? Except, you know, they had to be a little more discreet. Let's say ISIS had a bunch of buildings all over the place, and they committed terrorist acts all over the country, and the government, oh, they found out, oh, well, ISIS, we found they have locations in this place, that state, that state. Oh, no, they wouldn't last. Oh, no, as soon as they found out where that ISIS organization or that ISIS cell group or ISIS sleeper cell was, they go take their ass out. But no, it's okay for a terrorist organization to terrorize people as long as it's government sanctioned. That's what's up. Nicolette Moore was good. How you doing, sister? So this is what happens. This is what you got, right? The ATF, the street pirates known as police officers, right? The police departments. You know, it's all. Understand that this ain't nothing but the slave patrol, y'all. It's the slave patrol. That's all it is. The slave patrol has evolved to all these different bureaucracies under the executive branch. Because understand that the slave patrol was under the executive branch of the United States government. All it did was evolve. It evolved to the largest terrorist apparatus in the goddamn world. Except they turn their efforts inward to the people to maintain a level of control, to maintain a level of fear, right, of the people. They want, you know, they have to maintain a certain level of fear among the people that they're terrorizing. But see, you don't know you're being terrorized because government, because it's government sanctioned, right? It's government sanctioned terrorism. And so because of the way they frame it, because of the way they present it to you, right? They mix the poison in the pie filling and give you a nice, delicious pie. And you eat the pie and you're okay. But the poison isn't necessarily killing you, right? What it's doing is lulling you to sleep, but you're awake. You're awake, but you're sleeping. Because they have convinced you that we need them in our lives to operate on a daily basis, to do simple things like eat, shit, and sleep. And fuck. Tell me, y'all tell me, does the government help you chew? Does the government help you put shit in your mouth? Does the government help you sit on the toilet and take a shit? Does the government hold your dick when you pissing? Or do they help you squat when you pissing? Do they get behind you and push you in and out of your woman? If you have the desire to learn how to fight and protect yourself, to take up firearms and learn how to use a firearm, to organize into and form a cohesive group with other men and women who are of like mind, do you need government for any of that? Do you need government to go fishing? Well, you do need. Let me take that back. You do need a government permission slip to go fishing. You need a government permission slip to go hunting. If you want to go to Colorado during hunting season and you are from out of state, you have to pay thousands of dollars to tag any elk, any deer, any of those beautiful animals they got out there that are delicious. You have to pay thousands of dollars for permission to go out in the wild and hunt you some goddamn food. Sugar-Free Mars says, yes, weakening and subduing you. Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. But what they do is they give you the red side and they give you the blue side. They give you the D and they give you the R. And they argue with that D. You understand what I'm talking about? They argue with the D. Two wings of the same bird, argue with the D. Inch by inch. And they spit on that thing too. They spit on it just so it's easier for you to, take it in. In the meantime, they got you face down in a nice velvet pillow, and they tell you, yeah, take it. They tell you to take it while they're arguing you with that D, while they're Republicanizing you with that Democrat. They're doing that. And you face down in that pillow, and they whispering sweet nothings in your ear. They're selling you a fucking dream. That's what they're doing. And why do they call it the American dream? I'm sure you guys heard this one. Because you got to be asleep to experience that shit. Got to be asleep. Big Maniac, what's good? Big Maniac, how come I feel like you be coming up in here? Why you got different names? You the same cat. You're the... Yeah, they Republicanize you with that Democrat. Oh, you getting repubbed with that Democrat. Trust that. And then they'll give you a nice little thing in the middle. They call it the Independence Party. Oh, you're independent. Oh, go over here. But guess what? In Congress and in the Senate, even an independent, you got to choose who you rolling with. You got to caucus with the Republicans, or you gonna caucus with the Democrats. You see all these words? Very phallic, right? You got the R, the D, and the independents got to cauc us. Yeah, when they caucus, they caucing us. When they caucus, they caucus. That's what they're doing. Every time they get together and caucus, they caucus. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all something. Isn't it an amazing anarchy? Yeah, odds and evens. It's real shit. I'm not about to sugarcoat this shit. I've been trying so hard for so many years because so many people are resistant to the thought of any level of freedom. And when you try to explain what it is, and when you try to explain what anarchy is, when you try to explain what voluntarism is, when you try to explain what freedom actually looks like, and when you actually believe in freedom, they call you free dumb. You ever heard that? If I believe in freedom, if I got family and friends, if I spit freedom to anybody, any not anybody, but most of my friends and most of my family, they call me a Trump supporter. Yeah, I'm a Trump supporter if I spit about freedom. If I say, if I criticize the government in any way, I'm a Trump supporter. Yeah, because they are so caught up in these. They are stuck in these boxes where they just put you in the box. So they only think inside the box. So, and when you're outside the box, they think you're in the other box. So you got two boxes. If you're not in this box with them, they think you're in the other box. So the funny thing is, if I spit freedom to the Democrats, they think I'm a Trump supporter. If I spit freedom to the Republicans, they think I'm a Democrat. You know why? Because their idea of freedom is different from mine. They think that they think that freedom can exist with law and order. When I say no, you can't be free with law and order, they think I'm a fucking liberal because I'm anti-police. Because the only way the government can enforce their control over you is through law enforcement, whether it be federal, state, local, county. They are all part of the executive branch of every tier of government. They can't enforce their laws without the enforcers. So how can you be free? You're complaining about the government. This is a Republican. You complain about government bullshit, but you're pro-police. You're pro-police, except for when it's convenient. When Ashley Babbitt died on January 6th when she got shot by that cop, that black cop. Oh, the Republicans were anti-cop in that one instance. That's it. Any other time, comply or die. So these people who, Republicans, right? And, you know, well, some libertarians try to act like they're freedom-minded. They're not really freedom-minded, but they don't understand that you cannot be free with law and order, especially if law and order is dictated by the government. The government you complain about can only do the shit you're complaining about if they have enforcers to do it. If you remove the enforcer, every time they say they want something to happen and they write something on a piece of paper, like a legislation, it's a paper tiger. Legislation, right, where they write their edicts, they call them laws, but they're really edicts. Where they write their edicts on these fucking pieces of paper and they say, oh, we wrote it on a piece of paper. Me and my buddies, we all said, oh, this is how it's going to go. Well, it's a paper tiger if you ain't got no goddamn enforcers to enforce it. So this is what happens. This is the issue. This is why we're stuck, because the Republicans and the Democrats, they both stuck on stupid, right? The Democrats don't like the police, but they love big government. The Republicans hate big government, but they love the police. That's why we stuck. But you got people like me who want to just mind their own fucking business. Right? So let's say I told you guys that this guy, Mark Choppa, got terrorized by the ATF on his own land in his own house. But here's the problem. If you own land in America and you bought the land, even if you have the mineral rights of that land, there is a such thing called eminent domain. Eminent domain can be used by the government for what they see fit. Now, there were certain, I forgot exactly which big cases happened, but there are cases where the government seized person's property, right? They seized their property. It was a big case. I forgot the name of the case. It set a precedent. But they had this big case where they seized this guy's property, right? And there was nothing like this. So the guy took them to court. And a case like this had never happened, where a man had his own fucking land and the government decided that they were just going to take it. There was no precedent for it. So what happened was the court did not side with the man who got his property taken, right? Even though they made it appear like they did, they didn't side with him, because all they said was, well, you just got to get compensated. So the government, that's called eminent domain. It led to eminent domain, where the government can seize your property, can take your shit. They just have to pay you for it, the value that they think it's worth. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where eminent domain came from. So you don't really own your land, right? You just bought the rights to live on that land until the day they see fit to take it back from you and then give you your money back. That's how that works. And you're not even going to get what you pay for the house, probably. Depends on how they come up with, how they appraise it. But yeah, eminent domain. They can take your land. They can take your property as long as they compensate you for it. If they compensate you, they can take your fucking shit. Yeah. That's how they do it. Clown Shoe Era Lucas, what you talking about, man? What you talking about, anarchy? The amazing Lucas is an idiot. He's not a true freedom lover. There are very few actual freedom lovers, y'all. because you know who the freedom lovers are because you think they fucking crazy until they convince you what freedom is, and they help you understand what it is, and they don't paint a picture of bliss and euphoria, and because freedom is dangerous, y'all. Real shit. Freedom is dangerous. It's uncomfortable. With true freedom comes many dangers. But at least you know what those dangers are, right? There's dangers with slavery. You just don't know how much danger you're actually in because they're hiding shit from you. They have so much control over your life. They have so much control over the information that you can consume. So much control over everything. The food supply, the infrastructure, is all controlled by them. And they give you a sense of security because they got all these cops around. They got all this in law enforcement. They got all these. Oh, you know that when a criminal criminalizes, they're going to get locked up. They're going to go through the system. So you think that the system is doing something to keep you safe. Right? You think, okay, if I get robbed, I can call the police. The police can come and get this guy, take him to jail. In the meantime, you got robbed. You got robbed, and luckily you didn't get killed. But here's the problem, right? If you live in a state where you can't conceal carry without a permit, and they make it very difficult for you to carry with the permit, and so you're going through all these hoops, you jumping all these hoops to conceal carry, and you don't want to break the law, right? Because you're a law-abiding citizen. You don't want to break the law, so you're not going to carry anyway. You get robbed, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't get killed. The cops came. They took a report. They found the guy who robbed me. Everything's Gucci. But you just got fucking robbed. You got violated by another human being. And you felt like you had no recourse but to call the police afterward. Whereas with true freedom, you're going to have your shit on you. And anybody that would dare to rob you would have to think twice because they understand, well, this motherfucker walking down the road by himself, but he might have some shit on him and he might be more dangerous to that shit than I am. So people are going to think twice about robbing you. You understand what I'm saying? Because they understand how dangerous it is for them as well, because they don't know what you could be carrying. It's like mutually assured destruction, right? Because I know you got something, you know I got something, you know I'll use it, I know you'll use it. Let me be smarter about this. Now, let's get rid of the illusion that you'll never get robbed. No, you're going to get robbed because they might have 3, 4, 5 motherfuckers. It might just be you. He might go get his buddies, or he might follow you. He might track your movements. He might do all this. He might stake you out for days and days and days. He might learn your patterns and your routine and say, all right, now I'm ready. It's always going to be that danger. It's always going to be dangerous. But it's already dangerous now. It's more dangerous now. There's more destruction. There's more chaos now than if government never took root in the first fucking place. But see, now, if you remove government, it's going to be chaos for quite a while until there's not. And then what can spring from that? More government can spring from it, or we can learn and just say, let's all mind our own fucking business. If everybody just chose to mind their own fucking business, the world would be a better place. Now, everybody would not. Of course, you'll still have those that would like to prey on others. You still have these psychopaths and sociopaths, but you deal with them as they come. That's all you can do. Because even with government in place, people are still getting robbed. People are still getting murdered. People are still getting hit with fucking trucks. People are still, you know what I'm saying? All those things are still happening with government. So, anyway, that went on a little longer than I expected it. Look, terrorist group ATF, you know, broke into this guy's house, terrorized his family, you know, his wife and his children, traumatized them. What else can you call them but terrorists? And for what purpose? What purpose? They weren't able to seize any of the 70 weapons. They were all legal, right? They were, you know what I'm saying? He went through all the proper protocols, got all the permission slips. And some guy was just able to say he got a lot of guns, and then they just ran up in his shit. Like, what the fuck? And what else are we supposed to call them? They're terrorists. Real shit. And that's all I got for now, guys. Man, I gotta get up in here. But I appreciate you guys for coming through. Please hit that like button on the way out. And yeah. Listen, freedom is uncomfortable. It ain't free. But guess what? It's less dangerous, and for me, less comfortable than government rule. And that's how I got to carry it. But anyway, thank you for coming through. Anarchy, Sugar Free Mars, Jose Orta, who said, yes, the cartel will help you out there. Their people more than the police government, and you can live peacefully. Own anything, no one bothering. Are you trying to convince me that cartel rulership is better than government rulership? Oh, man. You got more freedom in Mexico and in the U.S.? Probably. I believe it. I don't know about that cartel shit, though. Otis and Oz and Evans, thank you guys for coming through. Much love. Like, share, subscribe. And we're going to keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.